I'm back in the kitchen today and I'm making absolutely delicious homemade banana butter because I have a lot of overripe bananas. There's gonna be a lot of background noise today because I got my two little ones helping. But regardless, this is super easy to make and so good. So come along and I'll show you how to make it and can it. Here is your recipe if you want a screenshot, otherwise I will put all of this in the description below. As you can tell, these bananas are really ripe. They are not rotten, which is important to know. You can still eat these, they're just really ripe. These are the best bananas to use for banana butter, banana bread, all things banana, because it has a really rich and sweet banana flavor. The way you get these bananas for really cheap or even free is if you see them starting to go bad in the grocery store, talk to the owner or someone that's working there. I got this entire box of bananas for only 50 cents. The first step is to mash up all your bananas and put them into a pot. I usually just use a fork and mash them up on a plate. It's really easy that way, especially if they're really ripe. Levi, great job. That looks really good. Good. All right, there we go. We got our giant pot of mashed bananas. And the 2-year-old gave up. He's working on trains, which is fine. Okay, so then you're gonna put it on your stovetop and start heating that up, and then you're gonna add everything else in. For reference, we are doubling this recipe. Normally you use 10 bananas, I use 20, which is about 6 cups. So then we're gonna add our sugar, our lemon juice, our salt, and our cinnamon. You can also add allspice and nutmeg, which I've got right here, and you can add some nuts. So we'll put all of that in now, but you're going to leave out the vanilla and the nuts, and you're gonna add that after it boils. So we got all of our ingredients added in except for the vanilla and the pecans. So we're gonna keep stirring that until it's well combined, and we're gonna bring that to a boil. While we are waiting for that to come to a boil, we're gonna prep our supplies for canning. So we're gonna sterilize those jars in the oven at 250 for 10 minutes. And we are going to sterilize our lids by putting them in a small pot of water, bring that to a boil. Once it's boiled, shut it off, they're ready to go. And I got my big canner pot out. I got it full of hot water. I'm gonna bring that to a boil so it's ready to water bath can once we fill our jars. Okay, we are boiling, and we're gonna keep this boiling until it starts to caramelize and thicken up a little bit. That's gonna take about 5 to 10 minutes. It's been 10 minutes and we are done. Look at this, it looks like caramel. It's super thick. It smells amazing too. My whole kitchen smells so good. Now we're going to add that vanilla. So we're ready to go. I'm gonna get my jars out and we're gonna pack them. I almost forgot to mention one of the most important steps, the taste test. Oh my gosh, so good. But I do always leave my spices out in case when I do a taste test, I want it to have a little bit more of something, I can just throw it in there real quick. The last thing I'm gonna do is chop up my pecans because I like them to be in really small pieces. So I'll chop them up real small, put them on a baking dish, and put them in the oven on broil for just a couple minutes. And then I'll actually fill most of my jars, and then I'll only add the pecans to maybe 3 or 4 because a lot of people do not like the nuts in it, but I'm telling you, the nuts are so good. All right, so I got 9 jars filled with the banana butter, and I got my toasted nuts here. I'm gonna pour them in, mix them in, and then I'll fill my last 3 jars with that mixture. I got a little bit extra still in my pot here that I'll put in the jar and stick in the fridge for us to eat fresh over the next month. Now we are ready to wipe those rims with the wet rag, put on our sterilized lids and our bands, and water bath can them. Now I will mention that I'm using 3 gold rings for the 3 that have nuts in them, because once it's cooked, it's really hard to identify and remember which ones have nuts and which ones don't. So by putting the gold rings on them, I will know which ones are which so I can correctly label and write what they are on top of the lid when they're done processing. All right, I got all 12 of my jars in there. Now I'm gonna bring that water back to a complete rolling boil and then water bath can these for 10 minutes. Just for reference, if you look at the bottom here, your half pints and pints are gonna be 10 minutes and your quarts are gonna be 15. Time's up, let's pull them out. And there it is, 12 jars of homemade from scratch banana butter. This stuff is so good. I love apple butter, I love pear butter, I love banana butter. Any of the fruit butters, they're just delicious. And if you think about it, this is really cost effective to make because I always get lids as Christmas presents because that's what I ask for. So excluding the price of the lids, this really costs less than $1 to make 12 jars. So if you can get those bananas for really cheap, on manager specials, what I call it, it's definitely worth it to make stuff like this. Also, everyone always asks about the supplies that I use in my canning videos. I will have all of the ones in this video linked in the description if you want to get them off Amazon. They're all really inexpensive. All right, that's it. Let me know if you have any questions. Otherwise, happy canning season.